It never stopped.
Yeah, I do. But you weren't talking about.
It don't matter because it's on this end. That's why I run both. Mark chapter 3, verse 28. Listen what he said. Truly I say unto you, all sins shall be forgiven unto the sons of men, and blasphemies wherewith soever they shall blaspheme. But he that shall blaspheme against the Ruach HaKodesh shall have never forgiveness, but is in danger of eternal damnation. You know, in another place, you know, the Lord just say outright directly that, matter of fact, come on over here to Matthew 10, 12, and 31. We'll read it where you can see that there. Because if it's Yah's anointed, that would be basically, you know, anointed. Messiah mean anointed, right? You know, if you blaspheme for all intents and purposes, you cursing Yah, right? So let's look at Matthew 12, 31. Let's just put it where the Son, where his name at, where he mentioned himself. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. Did you not read how Shema say, I've sinned before you? Don't lay it to heart. He forgave him then, didn't he? Now we also know that later on, he told Solomon, execute judgment on him, right? And what did he do? And what did Solomon tell Shema to do? Who remembers? We just looked at it last week. What did Solomon tell Shema to do? Didn't he tell him to go and stay in Jerusalem and don't leave out? And when he left out, what happened? Killed him. Why? Because he was disobedient. He didn't stay in that refuge. But listen what he said now. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. But the blasphemy against the Ruach HaKodesh shall not be forgiven unto men. Whosoever speak a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whoso speak against the Ruach HaKodesh, it shall not be forgiven him, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. Do you see an example of why he said any word speaking against the Son of Man will be forgiven? Did not Shema speak a word against the Son of Man? Son of Man just means son of Adam. Did he not speak against David? Did David not forgive him? Why y'all can't do that for people when they say stuff against you? Why you feel the need you're going to have to fight and do all this here? That's not how you operate. Luke 17 and 1. Matter of fact, make it Proverbs 25 and 9. Proverbs 25 and 9. A lot of niggas read their Proverbs 25 and 9 to justify the debates that they be having in the various different mediums that they have them in. This ain't what they're talking about. No, it ain't now. Proverbs 25 and 9. Make it 8. Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another, lest he that hear it put thee to shame, and thy infamy turn not away. What you think that would mean? What you think that would mean? I just do this. When he say, no, I'm talking about when he say go not forth hastily to strive, that means don't be running around here always quick to try to argue all the time, first and foremost. That's the first thing. We ain't even trying to get that deep with it. We're really just trying to keep it right there on the surface. He said, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof when thy neighbor put thee to shame. Because a lot of times when you can sit back and you're going to be quick to argue with somebody and you be wrong, you're going to end up looking stupid. You know what I'm talking about? Then he say, debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself. That means if you got an issue with somebody, take that to them. Don't have an issue with somebody and tell 2-3 other people about it before you told them. If somebody offended you or did something to you, you need to tell them. See, there's a difference between defending yourself and letting somebody know that they offended you. You know what I'm talking about? There's a difference between that. Y'all understand what I'm saying? You got to understand the difference. Now, look at Matthew chapter 18. Because the Lord going to come right back around and tell you. I just want to make sure y'all understand and know the difference. Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. And after that, we'll look at Luke 17:1. And after that, 2 Corinthians chapter 2. Moreover, if thy brother trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established. Do you hear the first thing he said? If your brother offended thee, what he told you to go do? Go tell them. Because if you don't go there, you know what that mean? Infamy. That mean everybody gonna know about you, and you gonna be shamed. You know what I'm saying? See, y'all don't sit back and look at the stuff you do. Then when you do something stupid and you end up getting shamed, you want somebody to feel sorry for you, but you the dummy. It really ends up to coming this here. Are we going to be children or are we going to be adults? You know what I'm saying? You got to handle stuff like, you got to end up, man, all this stuff, man. I know some of y'all young. I know some of y'all ain't got over the age of 24 yet, but guess what? Suck it up and grow up, man. You dealing with something that's supposed to be pushing you to a state of maturity of being an adult. Being young is not an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Being young is not an excuse when you're being shown forth the tools how to handle yourself like an adult. Now I'm gonna sit there and tell you, that don't make me no better or no greater than any one of y'all. But some of the stuff I see some of y'all do specifically, and then some stuff I see people do that are of your age bracket, man, we were never doing no stupid, retarded stuff like that at 20, 21, 22 years old. Nigga wasn't even thinking like that. Nigga, whole mentality was different. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up and down. Different. I'm talking about different. All the way around. I ain't never once said in my life, I did something because I was young. You know what I'm saying? I did it because that's what I wanted to do. It was dumb, but that's what I wanted to do. Some of y'all use that I'm young excuse as a crutch. Man, you got to suck that stuff up. Like I tell you, it's real out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to be from the city where I'm from. Niggas seen real early. Boy, it's real out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's real out here. All that walk. You know, it's good. You know what I'm saying? In the essence, man, you would want your children to remain, quote unquote, innocent and not knowing the stuff that's going on. But then when you sit back and look at it, man, you would much rather them know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Because when they get old, you know what happened? They get grown, they don't be ready. You know what I'm saying? They don't be ready. The world catch them off guard because you didn't prepare them for it. Because you wanted to make it think it was cookies and cream and everything was all sweet and gravy. You know, my people ain't hide nothing from me. You know what I'm saying? It might be certain stuff they did they ain't want a nigga to know. But like reality, what life was, they ain't hide nothing from me, man. They letting they know it's real out here, boy. You want to get out here and pay some rent, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I started paying rent like 16, 17 years old, man. Paying car notes and all. Man, I was making enough money. I could have stayed in my own place, but I'm like, I ain't making enough money to take care of 2 households because I could have paid my mama rent and my own rent. You know what I'm saying? For a long time, boy, I paid for everything. Light, rent, food. It didn't bother me in the least bit. Wanted to do it. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all know that when Pop said it make you feel good when you put that letter in there. And see, some men, they like that. Some women be like that too. Nigga want to pay that. Nigga don't mind. It is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? But I was doing it at an early age. You know what I'm saying? I was taught that responsibility. You got to do these things. It's real out here on these streets. Ain't nobody else going to do it for you. And they wasn't looking for nobody to do it for them. We're going to have to make a way. I don't know how we're going to do it. We're going to have to do something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our kids, a lot of our children, they're not prepared for that. Don't nobody really preparing for that. All these kids want to do is be a rap star, be a YouTube sensation, be an Instagram celebrity. That's all our society is now. Ain't nobody preparing these children for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people be like, you don't want them to grow up too fast. When you want them to grow up, that means you don't want to put too much adult things in their lap too soon. But you still got to be real with them. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to put adult responsibilities in their lap too soon. I tell people all the time, I tell every last one of y'all, you supposed to know your child. You supposed to know what they can handle and what they can't handle. If you see your child can't handle certain responsibilities, you don't put them in their lap. You ease them into it. You ease them into it. You give them a little bit here and a little bit there. And see, I'm real big on structure and discipline. I don't even play them type of game. I told you, my children are going to be soldiers. It's not no game. My sister tell you right now, man, she was 5 years old. Boy, I used to make her read, define, and spell, and put in a sentence a word every single day before she could go outside and play. And y'all know what's real? You want to know what's real? She enjoyed it and looked forward to it and was upset that I ceased it. Because I stopped doing it when she was probably about 8 or 9. I did this like every day for like a 2-year stretch. Like, straight up, she had a word of a day. Every single day she had to spell it, define it, use it in a sentence. When I was having her doing this, y'all know how old I was? I was probably about 16 years old. Maybe 15 at the youngest. Used to have to do all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I could see what she could handle. I gave it to her. Ain't no running outside to go do this here, that, there, and the other. I would sit down and tell my sister all type of stuff. Teach her all type of stuff. Tell her about the world that she about to come in. How could I sit back and say I love this child and then don't tell her nothing of the things of the world that she gonna have to go into? Then she gonna turn around looking at me like, why you ain't never tell me none of this stuff? I wasn't ready. Hold on. Verse 16 again. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee 1 or 2 more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word shall be established. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the house. But if he shall neglect to hear the house, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican. Now he telling you this your brother, meaning somebody who keep the commandment. He said if they don't want to hear what you saying, you don't want to get 2, 3 witnesses, then he said, well, just leave the nigga alone. Because you heard he said a heathen man. That means you ain't got no business fooling with no sinners. The Lord just told you that. Ain't that what he just told you? Some of you niggas love to hang with sinners. Love to do it. It's too many times this man done had me tell you to say something to y'all about y'all love and desire to hang with sinners. Maybe after a while, one of you niggas will stop being hard-headed and start doing what the man tell you. Don't you know if this man telling you not to do something and you doing it, no matter how minute you think it is, you sinning? Y'all don't realize that, do it. And this man tell you, don't hang with sinners. That don't mean, like, don't be so locked in with them and you do it anyway. You know you going to hell, right? Because you just a disobedient nigga. Because we know what Paul told her. He say evil communications corrupt good manners. I don't know why you niggas think these sinners can't corrupt you. And a lot of y'all know they be corrupting you. A lot of y'all know y'all be doing stuff you ain't got no business because you dealing with these people. But it's your soul. You can do what you want to with it. Luke 17:1. I know one thing I can't do. I can't go to hell. You can do what you want to do. I can't go with you. I'm going to let you go ahead, go your way. Let you crash and burn. You keep on being stupid. It's your soul. Do with it as you see fit. He said, then said he unto the disciples, it is impossible, but that offenses will come. But woe unto him through whom they come. It were better for him that a millstone would hang about his neck, and he would cast into the sea, that he should offend, than that he should offend one of these little ones. Take heed to yourselves. If thy brother trespass against thee, rebuke him. And if he repent, forgive him. And if he trespass against thee 7 times in a day, and 7 times in a day turn again to thee, saying, I repent, thou shalt forgive him. Now, I want y'all to understand something. Number one, this ain't telling you that you got a license to just try people and do anything wrong. Nor is this a license for you to sin repeatedly, and all you got to do is say, well, the Lord rebuked me, I'm good. What he telling you is your brother. Who is your brother again? So if your brother do something, even if it's somebody outside the house, because remember what he said, love your enemies and do good to them too, right? Even if it's somebody outside the house, and they do something to offend you, rebuke to be correct. Now, I ain't just saying this because this is my old lady. She said the situation because y'all, any of y'all who been here long enough to know, I'll tell you when she's wrong, Anna. With no problem. But when she told me to ask my judgment on the situation, what happened with the lady on the job, she said the lady yelled at her. And she told the lady, don't talk to me like that. That's somebody that just did something to offend me, and I rebuked them and say, please, don't talk to me like that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. If somebody has came and actually did something to you, like directly did something to you that offended you, you are well within your means to say, could you please not do that? You know what I'm saying? That offends me. This, that, there, and the other. This is how I take that. I would greatly appreciate if you don't do that. And then that's over with. You know what I'm saying? Now, whether it's somebody outside the house, that don't mean that they would adhere to it. But those of us that's inside the house, y'all not supposed to be treating each other like that. You do know that, right? Somebody do something, they offend you, man. Then you let them know, hey, man, when you did that the other day, man, I ain't like that. Woo, woo, woo. Okay, my bad. Boom. They say my bad. I apologize. You forgive me. That's supposed to be the end of that. You supposed to forgive them. I'm going to show you that out of the law in a minute, dude. I'm going to show you that out of the law, too. Y'all understand what I'm telling you? 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 10. Make it 9. So y'all have to learn this type of stuff. Y'all learn how to deal with people, man. You got to know the difference. You have to know the difference between somebody being antagonistic and provoking you versus somebody doing something to you and that offended you. You know what I'm saying? Somebody do something and it offends you. Then, even then, if somebody do something and it offends you, you got to be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. You got to have enough skill and tact to know how to express it. You know what I'm saying? How many of y'all done felt like in your life you done messed up? Because you know the book says a soft answer turn away wrath. How many of y'all done sat back and look at the way you said things kind of messed up a situation that if you would have expressed it in a little better means, it could have went a lot smoother? I would wager everybody on here, I know I done. I wager everybody on here should be able to say, yeah, I done did that. Yeah, I could have said that a little better. I could have worded that better. I could have expressed it better. If any of y'all say you ain't never did that, you lying. I'll look you in your face and call you a liar. I do not believe you. You know what I'm saying? Ain't now one of y'all gonna convince me that you were in a situation where you said something and you know I could express that better. It'd have been better received, and maybe the friction wouldn't have happened in that situation. If I would have just said it with a better tone. If I'd have worded it better. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. That's when it come down, you got to measure your words. You know what I'm saying? You sit back. I'm telling you, man, that's a life lesson I learned early. Dude taught me around the way. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And he taught me that when about 15, 16 years old. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. And guess what I did? Taught it a little muffin. And I tell you that all the time. Then. It ain't what you do, it's how it's done. You know what I'm saying? I seen dudes do a lot of things that wasn't successful. We were doing the same thing. I just did it just a tad bit different. It wasn't that I was just that smarter. It just, I was looking at your mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody put a bug in my ear and told me, young blood, don't do it like this here. Do it like this here. You'll work more efficiently. You'll be able to execute it like this here. While this other person stumbling and bumbling and they don't know why. Because you steady trying to do the same thing, hoping you're going to get something different out of it. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. Back me up to about 6. Matter of fact, 5 is better. But if any have caused grief, he have not grieved me, but in part that I may not overcharge you all. Sufficient to such man is this punishment which is afflicted of many. So that contrariwise you ought rather to forgive him and comfort him, lest perhaps such a one should be swallowed up with overmuch sorrow. Wherefore I beseech you, and that you would confirm your love towards him. For to this end also did I write, that I may know the proof of you, whether you be obedient in all things. He's sitting here talking about that in this synagogue, that they were having issues with each other, and that somebody had done been offended somebody, and he was telling them basically forgive him, right? He's saying if you do that, then I can see you obedient in everything I done told you. Look what else he said now. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgive anything to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgive I it in the person of the Messiah, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Why would you think that he said he would get an advantage of us? We're not ignorant of his devices. You know what that go to? When we're looking at Proverbs 25 and he said don't be hastily to strive, because you end up getting put to shame. Because, you know, Satan means adversary, right? And what do adversaries look to do? Argue. Cause strife. That's what adversaries look to. That's what adversaries look to do, ain't it? Argue and cause strife. You heard what he said? Forgive. He said, if you forgive anybody, I forgive them too. And if they forgave anything to whom I forgave it, he said, for your sake, he said, I forgave it in the person of the Messiah. That's the same thing we sat back looking at David, because Shimei fell at the king and said, don't impute this iniquity unto me, right? Luke chapter 14. He fell down on the ground and said it too, right? Is that Luke 14 that I want, or is it 16? It's 18 that I want. I always say the wrong chapter. 18 and 9. This go back to what I was talking to y'all about. Them niggas be coming around here, man. Some of them Hebrew niggas trip me out, man. Them niggas had a little beard, had a locks, had a little garment on. You can't tell them niggas they ain't righteous, boy. Niggas say, where your beard at? Like a beard gonna mean you real righteous. I got a beard, not because I want to be righteous, because I wanted to grow one when I was little, because my daddy and my granddaddy had one. I couldn't grow a beard till I was 28 years old. I got out of prison and was able to grow a beard. Man, I couldn't. It never filled in. They gave me that shaving pass in prison. I ain't had to shave with them razor, kept them clippers. By the time I was about to get out of prison, man, that thing started to connect and fill out on its own. Like straight up and down, man. All that Hebrew stuff, that wasn't really my number one main motivation. Man, I used to see my dad and my granddaddy with a beard. I said, I always wanted me one. I tried to grow one when I was 23. It wouldn't fill in. I don't even feel right having no like this. Man, girl put that on Facebook a couple weeks ago. Say, man, them niggas had that clean shave. Man, said, don't they look like a rapist or a nigga who just got out of prison? I can't have that prison face no more. I'm good on that. I ain't mad at nobody who ain't got no facial hair. I can't go back to that booty face, boy. That's gonna remind me of that prison photo. I'm telling you now, because they make you be clean shaven in Florida Department of Correction, man, like they make you do in the Army, man. You can't have no hair on your face. He's saying, he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised other. Two men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee and the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank thee that I'm not as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalts himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. Did not the publican just fell on his face and asked David to be merciful to him because he was a sinner? Did not Shimei go before David and say that? Ain't that something? Now, how can we be able to get all these things to line up principles out the New Testament, out this story between Shimei and David? I just thought there was a story about a Benjamite cursing King David. But yet we can see how you can be forgiven for blaspheming the Son of Man, right? We can see how God actually forgave sin. And you can see a man who humbled himself before God and say, you know what? Please forgive me. I know my iniquity. And guess what he told him? I ain't going to kill you. And you know what? David kept his word. He didn't kill him. Solomon did, though. And it wasn't because Solomon just went and killed him, because Shimei was disobedient. You was delivered from your sin, and then you came out of your sin. And guess? Matthew chapter 18. And not only do y'all need to sit back and consider this with people who in the word, you need to sit back and look at this with everyone that you have dealt with in your entire life. Matthew 18 and 21. Somebody got to take their speakerphone off because it echoes, it has feedback. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? And Yahshua said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Therefore the kingdom of heaven is like unto a certain king which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. For as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. Therefore, the servant fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Do y'all know where this story can link us back to? about somebody who said that they owed some money and that they were going to take and sell his wife and his kids till the payment was made? Anybody? Don't everybody speak at once. 2 Kings chapter 4. Maybe one day, man, we'll figure out how to go through this book and actually understand the reading. Yeah, but hold, we ain't even got that far yet. We just dealing with the part of where he said, somebody say a creditor, somebody owes son, and they were finna sell his wife and his kids, right? 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, thy servant, my husband is dead. Thou know that thy servant did fear Yah, and the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. Elisha said unto her, what shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in thy house? She said, thy handmaid have not anything in the house save a pot of oil. Go, he said, go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, empty vessels. Borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, then shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set aside that which is full. So she went from him and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, there is not a vessel more, and the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, go, sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live, and thy children of the rest. Now, what would you think this could mean, going in what we looking at Matthew chapter 18? About somebody about to be sold. He said in Matthew 18 there was a certain servant, right? Come on back to Matthew 18 and let's look at it. Look what he said now. He said there was a certain king to take account of his servants. He began to reckon one which ought him 10,000 talents. He didn't have nothing to pay. And that Lord commanded him to be sold, his wife and his children, and all the payment that he had, and payment to be made. Now we sitting back looking at that this woman here in 2 Kings chapter 4 pretty much was in the same predicament, wasn't her? Say the creditor was going to come and sell everything that I got. Romans chapter 7 and about verse 15. This nigga over here tripping. I hope you know everybody can hear you and you're embarrassing yourself. Get mad at such nigga who saying peanut butter jelly time and told them kids to go get a peanut butter jelly sandwich. He done went to singing it. I hope that nigga ain't went to, I hope he ain't go to dancing with it. Yeah, I'm a client. I gotta finish though. We got to get ready to get done. It's about a few minutes to 11. We about at my limit. Ain't but so much y'all can take. We ain't gonna give you too much at one time. Romans 7:13. Was that then that which was good made death unto me? God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful. When we sit back and look at it, the stuff that the king gave to his servant, wasn't it good? You know what I'm saying? Even the woman who hold the creditors, whatever she giving it was good, wasn't it? But they say, I ain't got nothing to pay with. Let's see what it say. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I'm carnal, sold under sin. So he about to sell everything these people got, right? Why else would he sell it other than because they in bondage to sin? Don't you know when you commit sin, you selling yourself to death? Because what did he tell you the wages of sin is? Barry. Boy, we can hear you. Y'all got to learn to step away from the phone, man. We want to hear the extra conversation. And hold stuff up. Now listen what I'm telling you now. Don't you know when you commit sin, you selling yourself to death? Don't you know this man, you owe this man, right? You know you a purchased possession. I'm going to show you something else. Leviticus chapter 25. Leviticus chapter 25. 25 and 26. 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 Leviticus 25. Verse 39. And if thy brother that dwell by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as a hired servant, and as a sojourner. He shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. Then he shall depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and to the possession of his father shall he return. For thou art my servants which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. Thou shalt not rule them with rigor. My bad, I should have dropped down to 47. That's a little too high. 47, what we want. If a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwell by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is nigh of kin unto him of his family may redeem him. If he be able, he may redeem himself. So when we sit back and look at it, this woman had a creditor. She owed. She had nothing to make a payment with. You know what I'm saying? You sitting back looking at this man here owed. In Matthew 18, right? Let's see what happened to him. Just follow with me. Y'all just work with me. I'm about to let y'all go about y'all business. So when we read Matthew 18:24 one more time. And when he began to reckon, one was brought unto him, which ought him 10,000 talents, for as much as he had not to pay. His Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion on him, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. Yeah, I know it. Now let's come on around here. Let's look at 1 Peter chapter 1. Say he loosed him and forgave him the debt. Now remember, this going all the way back to what we read in Leviticus 26 about he said how I freed you from the land of Egypt and broke that yoke to make you go upright. He freed this man. He owed a debt. When you sit back at that woman, she putting oil in vessels. You know what I'm saying? That oil symbolizing what? The spirit, right? So you take this, you could pay with it. But it also show you like there had to be a purchase. So then you can look at it, even though it's oil in that, you can sit back and look at what did he buy us back with. Hold on. I'm going to show you. Hold on. I'm going to show you. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 17. Make it 18. For as much as ye know that you were not redeemed with corruptible things as silver and gold from your vain behavior received by tradition from your fathers, but with the precious blood of the Messiah, as of a lamb without blemish and without spot, who truly was foreordained before the foundation of the world, but was manifest in these last times for you, who by him do believe in God, that he raised him up from the dead and gave him glory, that your faith and hope might be in God. Seeing you have purified your souls in the obeying of the truth, through the Spirit under unfeigned love of the brethren, see that ye love one another with a pure heart fervently. That means y'all need to learn how to love each other with a clean heart and with passion. Not no faking. You know what I'm saying? Not you feel like you have to do it because you want to do it. Now listen what he said. You were redeemed with the blood of a lamb. Because he said, surely when this man came out and said, be patient with me, Lord, you just seen Shimei do that with David, didn't it? Be patient with me. Forgive me. I know I sinned. I know I owe you. I know I should die for what I did. Please forgive me. You know what I'm saying? Because Paul just told you, I'm carnal. I'm sold under sin. I've sold myself. That means I need to be purchased. Somebody need to buy me back. Because he just read Leviticus, he said, if you be waxing poor and you sell yourself to a stranger. We know that selling yourself to be a bondman or to be sold under son, that means because you've been committing sin. He that commits sin is deserving of sin. You in bondage to it. Somebody got to free you from it. This man was in debt. Because guess what? If he was waxing poor, I mean he had to be in debt. I might as well, I'm done. I got to sell everything he got to get back what he got because he owed me. You just seen this woman coming in 2 Kings, coming to Elisha saying, come get me. They going to sell off my son, my husband dead. You know he walked before y'all. And then he sat back and said, you know my husband is dead and he was a son of the prophets. Y'all didn't catch that? My husband is dead and he the son of the prophet. They about to come. Didn't you just read it said in there, he gonna sell my wife and my kids? And you got this woman coming saying they were finna come sell me and my kids. So when you sit back and look at it, come on, man. Y'all don't sit back and look at that. You don't sit back and really see that, man, that's Jerusalem and the children of Israel. So in order for it to get it back, something got to be sold then. You know what I'm talking about? They said I want Peter, but this nigga crazy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all said that. Y'all didn't catch that when we read that. It said that he was the son of the prophet. My husband is dead was. Romans chapter 7 verse 1. That's what you pay me for. And that goes with what we were talking about yesterday. That doesn't make me that I'm any better or greater than y'all. But you wouldn't know these things if you don't have a preacher. How would you know it? If he don't give it to me to tell you, you ain't never gonna know. Which goes right back to what we were looking at. Every scribe which is instructed into the kingdom of heaven is like a householder would bring out his vessels, things new and old. That means everybody who preaching this word ain't a scribe and they ain't been instructed in the kingdom of heaven. That means who hired you, nigga? Where did you get a job? Who taught you this stuff? Romans 7:1 now. He says, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. So who is Paul speaking to? He's speaking to not just Hebrews. He said, I speak to them. Just because you're a Hebrew don't mean you know the law. He said, I speak to them that know the law. So if you don't know this book, I ain't talking to you. Listen, he say, know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. So you got to see key point. He let you know exactly who he was talking to. Because guess what? If it's some Gentiles rolling with him, guess what? They would know the law too because they've been taught. Y'all got to understand that. He said, I speak to them that know the law. It's a lot of Hebrews don't know the law now. It's a lot of them don't know the law now. Listen what he say now. He said how that the law have dominion over a man as long as he live. For the woman which have a husband is bound to the law to her husband so long as he live. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of the husband. So then if while her husband lives, she be buried to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. Wherefore, my brethren, you are also become dead to the law by the body of the Messiah. So you know what he was telling you? We were able to be bought back and remarried to our husband because the law saying Deuteronomy 24:1, if a man put out his wife and she go be married to another man and then she leave that man and come back to her first husband, the whole land is defiled. And Jeremiah chapter 3 verse 1 say, he say, I put you out and you went with many lovers and you gonna come back to me. And if we gonna believe that and he's saying we believe in earth as it is in heaven, that if God say what he said in the earth, that same thing go in heaven. That means I can't take my wife back. I can't take Israel back. But because this man came and died, that means you dead to that law. That means that law dead. You can be married back to your God again, which means I bought you back. I paid for that. Guess what? Guess what that's also gonna go to? Before you married a woman, you had to pay a dowry, right? So you could marry her, right? So he paid the price with his blood to marry that woman. So that means he redeemed her back from the degradation state that she was in. Because she had done sold herself. Remember, you made an agreement with death and a covenant with death, and hell, you had agreement. I got to buy you back from that. I got to purchase that. He said you sold yourselves for naught, but you'll be redeemed without money. That man, both of them, they sold themselves for nothing. That woman in 2 Kings chapter 4, what did she sell us for? Nothing. And guess what? She was redeemed without money too, wasn't it? Get that oil and sell. That oil bought you back. God bought you back. You ain't do it. He did it. Because he fills your vessels with oil. Because if your vessels is filled with oil, that means you filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, would mean God dwelling you, would mean you got eternal life, and death was not a factor on you. Oh, man. All that in one little thing, ain't it? So he said now, wherefore, my brethren, you also become dead to the law by the body of the Messiah, that you should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto God. So we sit back looking at, this man forgave us when we ought to perish. This man say, you know in Romans chapter 5, the man say clearly, we right over here by it, this man say, for God commended his love towards us, and that while we were yet sinners, the Messiah died for us. He bought you back. He redeemed you. He purchased you back. You owe God. Hold on. 1 John chapter 4. So you can sit back and listen to what this man say. First John 4 and 10. 1 John 4 and 9. And this was manifested the love of God towards us, because that God sent his only begotten Son into the world that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if God so loved us, we ought to also love one another. We just been talking about, we were talking about this a little bit we were talking about this last week about loving each other. This man loved us enough to lay his life down for each other. We ought to do the same. But at the same time, don't be niggas and take that as a means that you're supposed to try to take advantage of people, like everybody supposed to jump and move at your beck and call. Because now you're just being shysty and shady, trying to take God's word and use it to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Because he said execute true judgment between a man and his neighbor. That means you're supposed to do stuff justly. He said it's more blessed to give than to receive. You can't always be sitting back looking at what you can get out of somebody and what they can do for you. And then the only time you want to do something for somebody so you can turn around and say what you did for them. Or you do something for somebody because you feel like if you did that for them, they obligated to turn back around and do something for you when you want them to do it. Don't be niggas. You know what I'm saying? Don't act like that. Don't treat each other like that. I know a lot of people, they come from families. Their families was like that, just nasty. Just used each other, and whatever I could get out you, that's what I could get. And they only did stuff just enough so they could get what they want out of everybody. Man, that ain't cool, man. See, anybody who know me, boy, I'll give you anything I got it. You know what I'm saying? If I got it, I give it to you. I wouldn't care what it was. My sister tell you, man, anybody who know me, man, if I deal with you, now it's different if you visit in my house. But if I deal with you, like if you come to my house and you've been in my house more than once, you're not a guest. I'm telling you that right now. If you come to my house, you've been in my house more than once, you are not a guest. I'm talking about me personally. I can't speak for everybody else. Don't look for everybody to do that, because that's what I do. I ain't fixing you no food. I ain't fixing you no beverage. You ain't got to ask me for nothing to eat. You come to my house and you hungry, man, go get you something to eat. That don't mean just hit my fridge up because you just want something. But if you hungry, nigga, you ain't got to come to me. Can I have some of your chips? Nigga, they over there, ain't it? You going to eat them anyway. Go on and get them. No, I'm saying that if I tell you, yeah, you going to eat them anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I don't be sitting there looking at, because I operate like that. Don't be trying to go to other people how I think they do that too now. No, I mean some people ain't like that. They would prefer that you ask before you get that. You know what I'm saying? Some people ain't gonna be like, you know what I'm saying? You got some people, they ain't finna give you no free reign to come in their house, and not to everybody. You know what I'm talking about? And I ain't mad at nobody for that though. But I'm talking about me. I always been like that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm down with you, you my friend, and if I'm down with you enough for you to come to my house, you know what I'm talking about? I don't care about none of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about none of that. Now, when it comes to certain stuff, now, no, nigga, no, you can't share my deodorant. No, you can't just come in here talking about, can I spray some of your cologne? No, nigga. All right, now, see, you ain't gonna be able to fit in that. That might be a little, you know what I'm saying? Them compression shirts, them things might squeeze the life out you. Shoot, they ain't supposed, I don't think they supposed to make you look big. It's just we've been getting a lot of gains. We just been getting a lot of gains lately. But you know what I'm saying? But y'all supposed to know how to treat each other. Y'all gotta know how to treat each other, love each other. But let us finish this up so we can get out of here. Matthew chapter 18. Because the Lord did. Yeah, it is. And you ain't supposed, I'm talking about, and I'm speaking directly to people affiliated with the Assembly of the Firstborn. If it's anybody on here who may desire to be affiliated with us, then they had to know that you can't treat each other like that. If you want to be a nigga, stay in the world and be a nigga. Don't come in God's house and want to be a nigga. So when we look at verse 27, because we know the Lord forgave us our debt. He forgave us that sin. We're in verse 28. But that same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants which owed him 100 pence. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owe. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into the prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. Then his Lord, after he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desired me. Should now thou have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? And his Lord was wroth and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should have paid all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if you from your hearts forgive not every one his brother their trespass. You know what he means? He's going to deliver you to the tormentor. You going to hell. Leviticus 19 and 17. I got one more thing to show y'all, and then we out of here, man. I ain't say one more place neither. I said one more thing. I didn't want y'all to understand that when I say one more thing to show you, that's not numbering how many verses it's going to be. I said I got one more thing. Leviticus 19 and 17. You remember in 1 John how I tell you to any man that hates his brother in his heart is a murderer. Well, let's look what the law say. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Ooh, not just your brother. You shouldn't hate nobody. If you got hate in your heart for anybody, you committing sin. Don't y'all realize the stuff that people think ain't a big deal is a big deal? You got hate in your heart, you committing sin. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yah. You know what that means? That means you ain't got no business fighting for yourself. Know the difference with avenge. When we're not going to read it, but you look at 1 Samuel 25, when that thing went down with Nahab and David, David was about to go avenge himself based on something that Nabal said. And it took his wife come and tell him, he said, you know what, you stopped me from avenging myself. Because then he had to remember, he said, vengeance is of the Lord. It's not my place to go do that. It's not my place to go do that. He said, I was going to kill everything that pissed against the wall. That's what he told. That's what he told his servant. We finna go around here and holler at Nabal, and we finna kill every man there. Every man there. When we talking about avenging yourself, now this is the difference of the situation what we were talking about earlier. Of somebody doing something to you and you rebuke them versus somebody doing something to you. You know what I'm talking about? Or someone provoking you, where you have to know the difference on don't do that and you trying to defend your, and just like I tell you, you can avenge yourself with words too. Somebody say something nasty to you, you say something nasty back. No matter if it's true or not, you have to look at the intent of your heart when you said it. See, a lot of times y'all don't look at the intent of your heart when you speak things. Because your intent of your heart don't be what you trying to convince yourself of what it is when you actually say it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us done said stuff, boy. Every person on here done said something where you tried to cover it up to everybody else that, oh, I said it because it is. But your intent was different than what you told people while you said something. You had a different intent. Everybody done did it. If anybody on here say they have it, they lying. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody done. Man, look here, man. Ain't nothing I done did that I know ain't nobody else ain't done too. You know what I'm saying? You're not finna tell me that, man. I done said something where, oh, I was just joking. Oh, I was dead serious. You know what I'm saying? I was dead serious. Nigga say something like this here, I said that, yeah, I was being sarcastic. You were being sarcastic? No, I wasn't being sarcastic. Oh, I was being slick. Oh, yeah, I was being slick. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been one type of dude to say stuff to be like purposely hurtful though. I've done it. You know what I'm talking about? But I ain't never been one to really, you know what I'm saying, do that. I ain't never been no spiteful nigga. You know, that's not a good look for a man to be spiteful. It's like kind of considered to be women, though men can be very, very spiteful. You know what I'm saying? They just go, I put it this way, men go about being spiteful and malicious different than women do. You know what I'm saying? It's really not a good look either way. But you know what he mean when he say don't bear a grudge? What that mean? That mean forgive him. That's where he got it from. So guess what? Nigga think he coming up with this stuff. You ain't supposed to forget. That's the law, dumb nigga. That's the law. That's why when you sit back and you look at David, did he bear a grudge against anybody? No. Saul tried to kill him. He didn't want to kill him. Absalom was trying to kill him. He didn't want to kill him. You seen what he did with Shimei. We read about last week, well, about a month ago, about all the enemies that he pronounced judgment on, to tell Solomon to pronounce judgment on. All these men did evil to King David. Man, he didn't do nothing to any of these men. All he told Solomon was render them according to their works. He didn't bear a grudge. He didn't avenge himself on these men. You got examples of somebody keeping the law. Then when the Messiah come back around and tell you to love your enemies and do good to them that hate you, where do you think he would get it from? When we sit back and we look at Jacob, he was telling him to love your enemy. Esau was an enemy. He was trying to kill him and he loved him and did good to him. And if you were to teach that Esau was white, you still going to hell because you're not doing what Jacob did with his own brother. Jacob did not seek to avenge himself on his brother, nor did he hold a grudge against his brother, knowing his brother was coming to kill him. Can y'all read that? Can you read Jacob avenging himself? Can you read Jacob having a grudge on Esau? So guess what that means? He loved his enemy then. He knew. Guess what? We can see the same instance with Laban. Laban was an enemy of Jacob. Didn't he despitefully use it? Did he do any of these things to him? This is all in the law now. It's all in the law now. I mean, no, you don't have to fool with people because you forgave them. I mean, don't be crazy now. Y'all don't be crazy now. Somebody do something to you, you can forgive them. I don't mean you got to mess. But if you in this way, if it's somebody who in their way, you just can't be like, I don't mess with them no more. No, it don't work. And you may not do certain things, like in certain areas, I can't fool with you there. You know what I'm saying? But y'all hear what I'm talking about? But y'all hear this here, like we could have went in real great detail, really showed this here, but I'm putting this stuff out here because y'all already know all these stories. You know Laban despitefully used Jacob. He changed his wages. You know what I'm talking about? He lied to him about the amount of time, which woman he was going to get. He never avenged himself on this man. You know what I'm talking about? He never said nothing bad about the man. You see that with Jacob doing it? That's how you know you can't be Jacob's seed. You can't be none of Jacob's children. You can't be. Because you're not showing the same similitude of behavior. Where do you think the Lord get this stuff from when he say it? There are examples of men who do this. It's a book for this. It's a book for this. I thought these niggas was skilled though. I thought these niggas was skilled. I'm good. I'm going to say this last part, what I got in my mind. I'm going to say that, Lord will, for Sabbath day. I'm not going to try to jam that in. I'm going to say that. It's just continuing the theme of what we... No, I'm going to just go... It's just continuing the theme what we've been looking at all week. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12. We've been talking about forgiveness all weekend. Matthew chapter 7, make it about verse... make it verse 7. Matthew 7:7. This be right here. We call it 9 right here. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks receive, and he that seek find, and to him that knock it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you of whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? If ye then being evil know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that lead to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which lead unto life, and few there be that find it. Praise ye Yah for Yahshua HaMashiach. Y'all understood all this stuff this evening?